Will Tottenham Hotspur sign a striker this summer? We've been linked with plenty of forwards to bolster those attacking options going into the new season, which is going to be grueling, it's going to be brutal. Tottenham are back in the Europa League and are going to need someone that can play a lot of games and score a lot of goals for us. Richarlison has been heavily linked with a move away over the last few days. Those Saudi Pro League links are back and it looks as if he might make the move. So if he does, which striker should Tottenham sign? In this very special video, I've asked a bunch of your favourite Spurs YouTubers and podcasters their opinions on which striker Tottenham should bring in, whether we should go big for someone like Viktor Gyökeres or whether we should go for someone like Ivan Toney, who is proven in the Premier League. Before we get into that, make sure to like the video, it massively helps me out. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. Your support on the videos over the last few weeks has been absolutely amazing and I'm super grateful for that. Liking the videos and subscribing to the channel massively helps me out more than you believe and I'm so grateful for all of your support. You might recognise a few faces in this video, so go and show them some love as well. Go and subscribe to their channels, go and watch or listen to their podcast. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you my verdict on which striker Tottenham should sign, so stick around for that.
The Spurs need to make a statement, really, with their number 9. I'm not sure 100% that we actually are going to buy one, an out-and-out number 9. The marquee signing for me would be Gyokeres from Lisbon. One massive, amazing season. And he's going to be, they're going to be demanding over 100 million euros. Will we do it? Should we do it? I don't know. I think we should. We should make a statement signing, but is that what Tottenham do? Is that what Daniel Levy wants to do? I'm not sure. If you're Daniel Levy, he's going to want to play the long game. I think with Ivan Toney, that makes the most amount of sense if you understand how Daniel Levy likes to operate. And if we don't go for Gyokeres, then we'll probably never get him, because if he has another season at Lisbon the way he has done, he's going to be worth another 50 million on top of what he's worth now. He's already too good for that league, so he could easily have another incredible season. Lisbon don't have to sell him because he's under contract for another 3 years, could be even 4 years with the option. So Lisbon are in a powerful position. They don't like to sell. We know how they negotiate and how they have done with Pedro Porro and how difficult that was to get over the line, and how we, some might say overpaid for him at the time. So dealing with them to get Gyokeres out of the club is going to be very difficult and very expensive. And like I said, he's going to guarantee another 30-40 goals from next season. Why do they have to sell him? They're a club that generates huge amounts of money through transfer revenue, obviously one of the biggest clubs in Portugal already. They hold all of the cards. Getting that player out of that club is going to be extortionately expensive, and I just can't see Daniel Levy doing it. So my heart says him, my head says Ivan Toney, or we go for a really exciting winger like Nico Williams, and then we work with what we got at number 9, bring Richarlison back into the fold. That's my guess. Fuck knows, Ben.
What's going on, Ben? It's Sonny from Sonny Talk Spurs. If you want to know what striker I want Tottenham to sign this season, and I'm recording this the night after England beat Slovakia at Euro 2024 in dramatic fashion. And there was one person who came onto that game and, sort of made our former striker, Harry Kane, look a bit, worse for wear. And that guy, and I want Tottenham to sign him, is Ivan Toney. I've got a few of his stats in front of me right now. He won 4 out of the 5 of his ground duels. Aerial duels, he won 4 out of 5 as well. He created 1 big chance, he got 1 assist, and he won 3 fouls. I thought his overall hold-up play was amazing. I think, we could get him out of Brentford for a good fee. So I think that would be, quite good. He's English, so that helps as well with our homegrown quota. Got an amazing hold-up play, good with his back to goal, perfect link-up play, good at penalties. I think all around it makes sense. And people will say, oh, what about his attitude? I've met him. I've actually, he was the first England player we interviewed with TalkSport at the beginning of this tournament, because I'm out with the England team at the moment. And he's a sound guy. He's got a bit of arrogance to him because, all strikers and all footballers should have an edge of that and an edge of confidence, but he's not cocky. Arrogance can be a good thing, and I think he would be a good thing for this Tottenham side. We're looking at a lot of good English players to bring in and help that quota, so I think Ivan Toney is the man to lead Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham front line.
When looking for an Ange striker, I'm comparing data to his previous strikers, being Richie last season and Kyogo the season before at Celtic, to sort of build an understanding of what an Ange striker might be. And from my research, I found that the central striker primarily operates inside the box and has the fewest touches of any player in his team. So they need to be very effective with the few touches they're going to get in that area, which is why I'm going to focus on the following stats. Obviously, I'm going to look at the goals and the goals per 90, but we're going to look at the goals per shot ratio. I'm looking at the distance per shot to sort of understand what areas they're roughly shooting from to see if they do operate in that area, because ideally the closer to the goal, the better for Ange. And then also the touches in the opposition box to sort of really nail down where they operate and how often they're getting on the ball in those areas. And after comparing multiple strikers, I have whittled it down to 2 players, and that is Viktor Gyökeres from Sporting and Lois Openda from RB Leipzig. Those two stood out massively in all of those statistics when compared to the likes of Richie, Kogo, and even Haaland, to see what they're like to what I think is like a similar player to a similar system, you know, Pep versus Ange, Haaland versus the striker we're looking for. I mean, in almost all of the stats I listed before, the 2 guys outperformed Richie in all of them. And I know Richie had less minutes, but even looking at their per 90 stats, they well outperformed him there. They're also more reliable playing out the whole season. They're both quite young, which I believe they're 23 and 24. I could be mistaken there. These are the 2 that I think will just take Spurs to a whole new level. Look, if you want to see me go in more detail, I'm more than happy to do a video with you on it, delving deep into the numbers, but those are the 2 that I would go for.
What striker should Tottenham Hotspur sign? Now, there's 2 names for me in 2 different sort of categories. I've got the dream signing and the more realistic one. Starting off with the dream one, what would be the ideal profile and player that would get me the most excited signing for Tottenham Hotspur? And there's only one name, Viktor Gyökeres. It would be the dream. It would, you know, I think it's unrealistic in terms of price tag. I don't think Sporting would accept anything under £100 million for him, which is obviously, we've never signed a player for over £60 million. So, you know, that would be stretching our limits quite a lot. So he is definitely more unrealistic. In terms of the realistic signings, Ivan Toney is probably the pick of the bunch for me. I think he's such an excellent footballer. I think kind of a couple of months ago, you were thinking about 70, 80 million pounds for Ivan Toney, and he didn't score for Brentford for a while. He got dropped. Maybe that was due to the fact he was leaving the club in the summer. And I think the hype's died down a bit, and I think I've seen rumoured 50, 60 million pounds. If we can get Ivan Toney for that, we're getting ourselves a proper striker for that money. Dominic Solanke as well as one I'd definitely look at. I think Bournemouth might demand a bit too high of a price tag there, but those are the 3 names for me.
I think the striker that comes in and elevates Tottenham to the next level is Ivan Toney. I think it makes so much sense with him having 1 year left in his contract. I think we'd be able to get him at a reasonable price. He's homegrown, so he fits that quota, and he's Premier League proven. He'd be able to adapt straight away and hit the ground running, which is something that we need. We need a strong start if we want to compete near the top of the table, as Ange Postecoglou wants, as the fans are desperate for. And I just think there's a lot of question marks around Ivan Toney about his attitude, but I actually think we need that arrogance in the team. We have such a young core of players, we have such a young group, and having someone, an experienced player like Ivan Toney, to come in and lead the line with that arrogance, with that fearlessness. Everyone and their nan's been talking about that penalty he took against Switzerland. He proved that fearless factor that he has, and if he can transfer that into this Tottenham team, he'd be able to pull us through those big occasions, those big games that we struggled in last year. Another thing is his aerial ability. It's so needed. We've got a tall team, but we're very slight, and defending set pieces, he's a necessity. I mean, that Harry Kane hole is so obvious, isn't it? When we defend set pieces at the near post, there's no one there. Ivan Toney, 99% of the time, will be able to head that ball clear. And at the other end, it was a common theme last year when the defence would revert back to try and nullify our attack and play in a low block. Son struggled and he would ghost through games. Ivan Toney thrives in those areas. He thrives in the box. He bullies defenders. He doesn't let defenders bully him. And I think there'd be an instant impact in that regard, because he occupies at least 2 defenders every time he's in the box, because he's such a unit. He's so physically dominant. He's so aerially dominant. So you need to double up on him. That will allow space for the likes of Brennan Johnson. You know, that archetype goal where Werner or whoever's on the left wing, maybe Son, gets to the byline and cuts it back for Brennan Johnson. That would be so much more successful when you've got someone like Ivan Toney occupying and dragging away 2 defenders out of the game completely. So I think it will benefit the players around him. I think it just makes the perfect sense, and I would love to see Ivan Toney in a Spurs shirt.
Okay, you've heard from Flav, you've heard from Sonny, you've heard from George, you've heard from Will, and you've heard from Seb. Now it's time to hear from me. Which striker do I think Tottenham Hotspur should sign this summer? It's worth bearing in mind, some of the people that recorded their sections for this video recorded them a few weeks ago, and a lot has changed in the last few weeks in terms of Tottenham's striker situation. Like I said, those Richarlison Saudi links have come back. Will Lancashire has massively emerged as someone who could really compete for minutes next season after a couple of really impressive displays against QPR and Hearts. Richarlison has flown away with the Tottenham squad to play in pre-season. Obviously, he was nursing an injury. He was in rehab in the first few stages of pre-season, so we haven't actually seen him yet. And I think that's important to consider when you're looking at which striker Tottenham should sign. Richarlison was excellent when he played for Tottenham last year for the most part. He always contributed when he was on the pitch, especially in that second half of the season when he went on that run just after Christmas. He was excellent for us. And he is the sort of profile of striker that works for Ange Postecoglou in this system. He's physical, he's able to hold the ball up, he gets in the right areas to score scruffy goals, and I think that's what we need. But we need someone that's durable. Richarlison spent so much time out injured last year, and we can't afford to have our main number 9 on the injury bed for most of the season when we're back in the Europa League. So with that in mind, if the right money comes in for Richarlison from Saudi, I would definitely take it and look to reinvest that into a Premier League proven striker. Don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love Tottenham to go out and sign Viktor Gyökeres, but I think Ivan Toney is the man for me. I don't think people should be put off by the fact that he had quite an underwhelming return for Brentford. He hadn't played football for a long time. Brentford was struggling. And I think we saw in the Euros the impact that he had for England. He can bring that to Tottenham. The striker role in this Ange Postecoglou Tottenham setup often relies on the striker playing with their back to goal, something Ivan Toney is brilliant at, and bringing those other players into play who want to run beyond the striker, whether that's Son Heung-Min, whether that's Brennan Johnson, whether that's Timo Werner. And it also requires you to be a poacher, something Ivan Toney is brilliant at, getting in and around the box, scoring goals in and around the penalty area, being in the right position. I think Spurs are playing the long game on Ivan Toney. I think they're waiting for that price to come down towards the end of the window. I think he'll get agitated. I think Brentford will anticipate they're not going to get the fee they want. Ivan Toney has spoken about the fact that he's happy to sit tight and run his contract down. I'm not sure Brentford would want that, so I would not be surprised if someone like Tottenham or West Ham go in for him towards the end of the window. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Which striker should Tottenham sign? I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like it, make sure to share it, and thank you to everyone who got involved. Make sure to go and subscribe to Seb, go and subscribe to George, go and subscribe to Sonny, go and subscribe to Daring and Doing as well, Mine and Will's Tottenham Hotspur podcast, and of course, go and listen and subscribe to The Fighting Cock. Thank you very much to everyone who get involved. Thank you very much for watching. Up Spurs.